Today, we're talking about one of the biggest upgrades you can make to any home theater.
And no, it's not speakers. It's not your receiver. It's going from one subwoofer to two.
People don't realize how massive the difference is.
Let's do this. Well, welcome to today's episode, everyone. Well, Ralph, we got a pretty exciting episode. The last big video that we did was ported versus sealed subs, and that was a pretty good video where we explained the kind of key differences. But, you know, we had a lot of people leave some comments asking, you know, hey, what does it sound like if you have dual subs, or dual sealed subs are going to be the best from ported subs, etc. So we're going to get into why having dual subs may be the biggest decision you make for your home audio. All right, Ralph. So in this video, we're going to break this up into a few parts. Number one is, why do dual subs matter? Two is going to be the placement options, like the recommendations of where you should put to get the most out of a dual sub setup. And then finally, we'll get into our final thoughts and honest opinions, and then we'll usually provide some other tips too in there. But yeah, so let's get started with why dual subs matter, Ralph. And without getting too technical, let's keep this like somewhat novice. So for beginners, or maybe like beginner amateurs that, you know, they may have already a home theater system, they probably have Atmos already, they have one sub. Why would you want to add a second sub in your setup?
Well, that's a good question, bro. Well, for my viewers, the reason why we're going to go dual subwoofers is because you're actually getting better coverage in the home theater system. You're getting better frequency response. You're also getting you're actually diminishing the nulls in your system. So like, for instance, a lot of people have a problem with 50 hertz, you know, and it's hard to fine tune that. So adding a second subwoofer will actually kind of like make the frequency response more responsive in your home theater system. That's the reason why people go with dual subs, bro. Here's
a good explanation of what we mean by the null or the coverage, right? So let's just say these studio lights that we have right now in our filming.
Yeah.
We have full coverage. You know, we have a light here that's shining on this side, and we have one that's here. Now, if you go with a single subwoofer setup, this is kind of what that's going to look like. Now think of it from the sound, right? Ralph's going to get the benefit of the sound that's coming from that side of the room.
That's right.
Me, I may not get that much. Now, if I add a second sub, there you go. Now we're getting full coverage from both sides. Well, this brings us to the next segment of the video, which is placement options. And I know we touched up on this a little bit, but let's get into some further details. And why don't you go, because you're way more experienced than I am in this one.
So I'll start out with, you want to start out with your left side of the room, which is basically where it's going to be in a corner. You're going to start there, move it a little bit towards, you know, the middle of the room, almost to the middle of the room, like 1/3 of the way. And then you want to place your second subwoofer either behind you. If you have an open area behind you, you want to stick it to the other side of the, you know, front of the room. But I'm actually in between your right and your center channel speaker, believe it or not, because if you put them both close to the center channel, you're gonna get it's gonna go all over the place. So that's why having it to the at the edge of the room is best, because like you can actually tune it better that way. So this way you're not getting a boomy effect and stuff like that. And then your second sub comes in where it's going to actually blend in with your other speaker and give you all those frequencies that you need to get, you know, when you're watching movies.
Yeah. So Ralph, just to summarize this segment. So ideal sub placement. So you're going to have opposite front, right? So left and right. You're going to have your opposite diagonal. So if you go front left, you're going to go back right, or vice versa. And then you're going to have what is called mid-wall positioning. Right. So you want to put that towards the middle of the wall. That way you have equal distance from the subwoofer. And that's pretty much it. I mean, if you can follow one of those three, you're putting yourself in probably the most ideal situation when it comes to running a dual sub setup. Now, Ralph, there's another one that I want to add to this video, or this segment, believe it or not, is the types of subwoofers.
Yeah.
Do you always have to get the same subwoofer, like same brand and same size?
No, you don't have to. You can have one 15-inch in the front. You can have an 8-inch in the back, to be honest with you. I've seen subwoofers go to 21 inches in the front, and they have like dual subs in the front and then smaller subs in the back, because everything in the back gets lost anyway. So you want your immersion to come from the front and all the way to the back. And honestly, like, as long as, you know, they can fine tune together and blend in together with the scene, that's all that matters.
Now, the one thing I want to do, Ralph, let's get into some final thoughts.
Got it.
All right, honest opinions and maybe some final tips. So why don't you go ahead and start off first? What are your final thoughts about dual subs?
Well, here's my final thoughts. Having a dual subwoofer setup is actually going to give you the best immersion in home theater. I mean, across the board, right? If you have the space, I would definitely do dual subwoofers no matter what. If you're limited on space, that's a con for having two. Go with a single subwoofer, a good sealed or even a ported subwoofer, so you get the maximum amount of bass out of it, right? Another thing I would like to add is placement. It can be a challenge, but like I said, as we mentioned before, just try those tunes and you can go from there. And what are your final thoughts, bro?
Yeah, I would agree with you, Ralph. It's really all about trial and error, right? Like you can't go wrong with, getting two subwoofers if you have the space for it. There's a lot of different companies that we've done subwoofers for. I think mixing and matching manufacturers is not a bad thing. That may pique your interest into that other manufacturer's subwoofer, and you may like their other speaker line, right?
Yeah.
That's something that you've done a lot of.
I've done a lot, yep.
I mean, I know there's a lot of loyal people out there that love their certain manufacturer, and they'll stick to those alone. But yeah, don't be afraid to experiment what else is out there, especially if you get a really good deal on one.
Yes.
That's, I would definitely start with that. One thing I will add, and I know this question's probably going to come up, is, what is better, a dual sealed or a dual ported sub? But you know what? I think we'll save that for another video.
Absolutely, bro.
So Ralph, I think with that, we'll go ahead and conclude this video.
Absolutely. So make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification button.
And as always,
keep it hi-fi.